Good morning. It is the beginning of July and I wanted to do a tour through the garden and do some comparisons to the way it looked in the spring. We are about to head into a heat wave where temperatures are going to be reaching about 110. And so I figure the garden's probably going to get a little baked. One of the first successes I can say we had were these petunias. I have been really good about fertilizing and staying on the bedworm, and I think these look amazing. I planted 3 6-packs of petunias here. I had wanted to get the spiked speedwell for this and ended up with a sage, but I think it's looking really good. This is the Superbena sparkling amethyst that I got from Proven Winners direct. And it is doing really well, far better than the verbena I purchased at the garden center last year. This is the general kind of verbena. This little vignette hasn't done as well as it has in the past, and I thought that might have been because of the size of some of the plants. The blue arrow had spread quite a bit and this orange rocket was leaning quite a bit, and so I kind of took a page from Linda Vatter's book of Don't Let Your Plants Boss You, and I've started trying to control some of the stuff. Rocket just needs to be controlled. It was spreading too much. I thought it would stay much tighter than it actually is, so I've tied some rope around it, twine, to kind of hold it in place, and I might just start doing some trimming on it to keep it controlled. I did some trimming on this one because it was kind of growing out as well and was hitting the water faucet, and if you know anything about barberries, they're pretty spiny, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't uncomfortable to try and reach the water. And it looks like the purple pillar rose of Sharon has some buds on it, so we're gonna see some beautiful flowers in the next few weeks. Got a few remaining flowers on the candy corn spirea, and the hydrangea back there, I think that spot gets too much sun. So I am on the lookout for a new spot in the garden. The last of my gladiola spikes are starting to die back. The rose is heading into its 3rd flush of blooms, and it has been beautiful. I love the way this rose smells. The lavender needs to be cut back. It's finished with its 1st flush. The orange rocket behind them has started to bounce back. We've had to do a lot of supplemental watering to kind of help it along. We also put a little probe in the ground to monitor the moisture content of the ground there, and have been regularly kind of checking that. The wave petunias I transplanted have finally taken off and they're doing much better. Start looking at this rose. It has a few additional blooms on it. You see buds around the plant, and I did not get much of a rebloom last year, so this is a positive sign. Behind it is the jungle mess in the garden here. The pincushion flower, the remaining foxglove, the comfrey, the lemon balm, and the bearded iris. Above the verbena are my fruit trees. I have a couple of persimmons on my little baby persimmon tree here, and the peach tree is full of peaches. I have supports in the tree because it is so weighted down with fruit. I have tried to thin the fruit so that there's only a couple per branch, although right there I did not do an excellent job of thinning because there's probably a dozen right there. The fruit should be ready in about another month. I do have just a couple pomegranates forming on my 2 pomegranate plants. Opposite the fruit trees on the other side of the path is this topiary that we placed here earlier this spring, I guess. I planted it up with some wave petunias, a potato vine, and an alyssum. I have struggled to get this pot to keep water, and so the topiary has really struggled because it dries out so quickly, so I've been aggressively watering this. I think partially because the soil was hydrophobic and partially because it gets baked in the afternoon. This spot gets sun from this direction pretty much all afternoon, and this whole side of the plant bakes. Yeah, but there's a butterfly flying around my yard. We don't usually get ones like that. Right here opposite the lavender is the flower box. Now my sweet peas are kind of dying back here. I was trying to decide what might go here after, or maybe nothing. The potato vine I got from Proven Winners is not growing the way I expected. I had hoped it would spill over the side, and instead it keeps growing into the bed, which was not my hope. Both of them are doing the same thing. I'm not exactly sure what to do about that. The Calipicoas, the mini vistas, have not really taken off the way I wanted, and I suspect it's because the ground here is too wet. If I understand correctly, they like things to dry out a little more. So I probably would have been better off going with the white vista instead of the mini vista. And this guy has started to bounce back. I was checking this one for moisture as well, and he's got lots of little buds on him, so I'm happy. The last major bed in my garden is this square, and it has done okay. One of the things I have to say has been disappointing is this yellow petunia I bought. It is a beautiful light yellow with a deeper yellow in the throat, and I have really enjoyed looking at it. But as a whole, it just hasn't really given the punch to the space that I was hoping for. I still haven't found pots for these, so I have been working diligently to keep them watered as the summer goes on. But I do love the vignette here, and I do hope to kind of recreate this in something a little more sustainable. The agapanthus is starting to bloom. They are a kind of a lavender color, I would say, with a very light stripe. I have some coleus here that I rooted from cuttings I took from last year's coleus. The white begonias I planted here and in this pot. The clematis here that just is getting nailed by the sun reflection off of my neighbor's house in the afternoon and is burning up right now. I've done a whole bunch of things to try and protect it. I'm not sure what else I can do other than maybe just place a cardboard over it for a few days during the heat. And right here is my limelight hydrangea. It has beautiful panicles forming. I am really happy with the size of the plant and how well it's doing in this spot. I mean, this thing is probably close to 6 feet tall. That is how things are looking right now in my garden here at the beginning of July, right before we really head into the heat of the season. And we'll see how this fares through the rest of the summer as I try and keep my plants alive and move into the fall. Thank you for joining me for my garden journey, and I will see you in the next one.